welcome back. Thanks for making time for this. Just wanted to share a few techniques I use in designing my screens in Flutter. Hopefully this helps you. Feel free to pause and replay if you need to. Okay, cool. So the screen we want to build is the one to your right here, and then the approach I'm using is what I have designed here to your left, right? So we have a container so that we can color the background. Of course, we might not be able to do all the artworks, but at least we'll be able to give you the structure of what we need to do. And then we'll put a column inside it, and inside the column we'll have an image at the top. We have a text here, we have another text here, which is the one at the down here, and then we have a row of buttons. If you look at this, there are 2 buttons, and then we'll approach that as a row, right? So that's what we want to do today. So follow me. I have also created a project already, so you don't have to go through the work of creating a project all over again. Just to start, let me run the project I have created. And now, one thing I've always been doing anytime I start a new project is to do what you call separation of concerns. That's moving things around and keeping the code cleaner from the beginning. So I would keep, so this is the entry point. If you've been doing that for a while, you know that this is the entry point of the application. I mean, the main section here. So to do that, I'll split this into 3. I'll have one page called the app, which is the application itself, all right? And what does the application hold? The application, I'll copy this over here, and the application hold, rather than the main, the application hold the my app section, okay? So the application will hold the my app, which is the main application, and I'll create another screen again called, let's say, my home page, which is literally the first screen that you see when you come, and in this case it is this one. So I would have my home page already, and then of course it's a .dat file, so my homepage.drt. And what will I do? I'm moving all the code inside each of them, but I'll clean them up shortly. So make sure that in your main, the only thing you have is your main entry point. That is where the application begins, right? So I would keep that as my main. Let me move this inside a bit so that I can see everything. So I'm going to delete everything else and just keep just the main, okay? This is my app here, all right? Then once I've moved it, we'll see tasks in some error, but we'll fix that shortly. I go inside my app, and then I also make sure that I keep only my app in the my app file, okay? So I delete everything here. So here we are only housing the my app. So here in the main, we have to now import the my app here, right? So that we have only the application which is being imported from this file here, right? So we have it here. And then on my home page has also moved. Let me remove the comments so that doesn't distract what you need to do. All right, so I've removed all the comments now. So of course this page now has also been moved to this section here, all right? So I need to remove the main here, all right? And I also need to remove the app from here and keep only the screen, which is the stateful widget of the home page. I'll remove my comment for now. So I've taken this down. So inside here, I now have to import. See, I have to import that from the other file. So up on this, everything should be clean, except that I need to go to my test folder and re-import where my app is located. That has moved also, so I need to re-import this from here. And then if you rerun your application, you see that everything will be okay, but just rerun the whole application because some things would have moved around. So I have this, and then a few things that will get started. Then again, if you look at what we want to design, we need just a container. So what will I do? I'll remove everything. So I'll remove the increment method. Pay attention. I'll remove the counter variable, and then of course in this case let me remove the comments as well. Taking down the comment. We won't approach it from a scaffold perspective, so I'll remove the entire scaffold over here, okay, out. Then instead of the scaffold, I have a container for now. So for now, we have a container, all right? So everything should remain the same. The screen should be dark now if you run your application. And then one last thing, we don't need a title, so I'll remove the title here as a field variable, and then in the argument of in the constructor, I need to remove this as well. So it means that inside my app, I have to take down this as well. So that being said, we should have this working fine. I can rerun my application again. Everything is cool. Look at that. Let's start by changing the whole background of our application to white. So I'm going to my app. So now all we need is to concentrate here and give the color property to colors.white. All right, step one. If you run your application, the screen should be white now. So you can see what's happening now as at now. So you see now, what do we need to do? First of all, we need to put an image at the top, the text down, and all that. But let's start by just putting a box in place of the image. For now, we'll come back to that as we move along. So over here, let's put a box here. We'll come back and put an image there later, or let's put an icon there for the moment. We'll come back and do the change. So we said that we'll have a child here, and then the child will have a column. So we have a column, and then the children of the column is where we are going to align everything that we need to align. So we are going to align all these things inside the column. So this is the column. The first thing, we'll put an icon here. All right, let's set up the structure, and then we can do the styling. So in the first child we'll have here will be an icon. So let's say there we pick something random from the icon folder. Let's just choose let's just use something for now. This for now, we can change that later. And then you bring a comma after the widget. The next thing we want to add is this text view. So let's add the text, and then we add the content of the text. It's called discover your dream job here. So we say discover your, let's say your so the first line is discover your, and then on the next line we have that. So I just put the next line character, discover your dream job here. So I have that. If I run, we have this. Now you start seeing this color. Let me add a bit of size to the icon so that it's a bit bigger. Let me do 48. All right, now when you do this, you see that the whole thing will be bleeding into the safe areas of your application. If you want to, but if you look at this place, we don't have that. So if I want to avoid that, I would not wrap everything, even including the container. I'll wrap them inside. So you click this bulb and say wrap widget in, I can say safe area, so that it doesn't run into the edges. So I run that, at least prevent it from running into the edge. Now, but then to avoid these dark spaces here, I would rather wrap the column, all right, the column here. I'll wrap the column rather in the safe area, okay, so that I can have that happen, so you can see it clearly. Now, because we've not scaffolded our application, we have a default underline of this yellow. To avoid that, let's style the text. So we add a text style. First of all, we need to, if you look at what we have here, okay, let's at least let's remove the underline. So we say there's something called, I think it's called decoration. Yeah, so we'll do text decoration, and then we say none. All right, if you do text decoration now, we should see that code. The next thing we want to do here is I want to do text alignment. That is not a style, but I want to align our text to the center so that we can put our text in the center. And then also, if you look at our design, it looks like there's a bit of space around everything. So let's go back, and in our container, apply what you call some padding. All right, so several forms of padding. Edge insert dot symmetry. I'll use symmetrical because I want to apply different kinds of padding horizontally, and that's why horizontally I'll do 16, and vertically I'll choose to approach it with 32 for now. I run a bit of spacing inside, and then what do we do next? Let's reduce the font size a bit in the text style. So let's say font size is called, let's try 24. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what it is, so yeah, let's discover that. Okay, now let's add the next text. Let's copy over this. All right, the next text. All right, so we say explore all existing job roles based on your interest and study major. Explore all the existing job roles based on your interest and study major. All right, now the font size will be a bit lesser. Let's take this all the way to 16. All right, so yeah, we'll reduce it a bit, and then of course let's give a color. Okay, so let's say colors dot black. Okay, so that's black. Reduce that. Now if you look at here, I think the font weight by default is bold, so let's do weight and let's do normal. Right, good. So now again, let's add some padding to the text. So we'll wrap the first one, let's say wrap widget in, let's add a bit of padding. And why we are only adding the padding, because we need to give some spacing around it. So I'll give a spacing of all around 16 for the first text. Good. And the second one seems to play out fine, so we don't have to bother. So this and this is taken care of. Let's come back to the buttons for now. So after the text, I do this, and then I'll give a row, and then the row has children inside. All right, so now if you look at the design we have here, I'll anchor everything around the center rather. So I'll go to the column and I say main axis alignment center, and I also cross axis align to the center so that everything is centered some way somehow. Yes, and then I'll explain in a bit. So yeah, we have done this, and then the next thing we want to do now is to put the buttons. I'll use elevated buttons, so I'll go to elevated button. Now, because we are not doing anything right now, when you press it, I'll just put this anonymous function right here. And then of course, if you look at the first one, it's like there's a text inside called login. So I'm going to make this a text, and the text is login. If you say the text is login, and then again, let's do that. Let's see how it looks. We have to increase the font and all that, so you can see what's happening here by default for the text. Yep. So then again, a few more things we need to do. Primarily, let's start the button first. So it's called style. I will inherit from elevated button style by default. Elevated button style from. Okay, then when you do that, you copy over the style from the elevated button. But more importantly, you look at the various things it has. The most important thing I want to concentrate on right now is the background color, which is let's just do colors dot. I'm not sure how pink looks like. No, let's say orange. Let's start from there. We'll have to figure out how this looks like later. But then it also then means that we need to give a style to our text, so that we can say the color is white. Okay, and then we can also play around increasing the font size a bit, which is the style font size. So let's say 24. Good. Start from there. And then the next thing I want to do, I want to give a bit of spacing in the text that is inside. So I'll wrap it in some padding. So I think I'll give it a padding edge inside. Or let me just say 16 for now. I'll come back to this. Let me do a bit of cleanup. See, it's getting better. Then also in the elevated button style, I think there's something we can do, shape. And then what we'll do is that we'll do rounded rectangle, right? Yes. And then what we'll do is that we'll get the side of the rounded rectangle to be, let's say it's border side. I think we should concentrate on another shape. Okay, play around with the shape around the rectangle. Not the shape. We should concentrate on the border radius, which is border radius, let's say circular, and then we'll give it let's say 8. Yes, so that should give us this kind of button that we are looking for initially. So if you look at it, that's the kind of button we want. And then so we are almost there. I think let's just say red. Let's see how red plays out. Well, that's much closer. Okay. And also the padding here, I'll reduce it a bit to 12, the padding of the text inside. That's much better, right? So then literally we want to do the same for the button at the other side. So I want to get that button which is ending here. I want to repeat the same button, but in this case the text will be register, the text color will be black, right? Good. And then we don't have the background, we will make the background white. In this case, we don't stress, right? The background is white. And then we need to, let's leverage on this something called shadow. Let's make the shadow color white as well. I think there's another thing called elevation. We can make it 0. We have cleaned that up. And then the row, let's center both, or let's say let's space between. If you look at this, let's say we space them between rather. So let me just say let's center cross axis alignment, center. Okay, right? But then again, we need to put some space in between here, right? Several ways to do it. We can wrap down, we can put some space there, or we can add some space to this text at the top. So I prefer that instead. I prefer putting some space at the top in between this text and the one at the down as well. So I'll wrap this inside a padding. So we'll wrap this widget inside a padding. Then I'll use a symmetry so that I can say the vertical should take something like let's play around that, and then the horizontal I'll still keep something in the edges of 16, so that is the same as what we use at the top. So we have that. So this is a good start. And then again, if we wanted to fill the whole thing, like this thing, we have at least this basic structure set up. So we have this, we have at the top already in space. What do we need to change over here? It's one, we need to change our icon. We need to change this icon, right, to an image. So I'm going to do that so I can put an image there. So I'll come here, and usually how an image is added in Flutter, there are several ways, but I'll use an image that is added locally. So I'll create a folder in the root directory, all right? So I'll create a folder and I'll call it images, right? Or let me just create a folder that we can use to hold anything, not only images. Then inside that folder, because it can hold a lot of things, I would say maybe we can create another subfolder called images that can hold images if we need to. Okay, so we have a set, so if we need to put fonts, videos, and everything, they will all be inside here. Then the next thing I need to do is I need to go to my pubspec.yaml file. Then you scroll, there's a section where they give an example on how to add an asset. I won't comment that out. And because I have changed the approach, I'll put asset before this. So this is where you reference the image, but let's go grab the image. So I've downloaded an image. If you go to my downloads, it's called sample image. This image is located here, right? So I would grab that image, which is my download. So this image, I copy it. Kindly go to where your project is located. I look for my Flutter project. This particular one we are working on, we called it say Discover app. So we'll look for Discover app. Quite a lot. Okay, this is here. I go to the asset, I go to the image, and I drop it inside here, right? So let me just grab the name and make sure I have the name that I need to. Then I come back to my project. So over here, instead of this, I'm going to do discover app.png. This is the extension of the image. It has to be the same name, and I copy this name, this entire name. Then here, instead of the icon, I'm going to do an image from asset, and then I give it that text that I copied from there. And if I run, this will be that image that I added right there. Now, when this happens, you see that again my text and things are right lying at the bottom here. So I do a bit of cleanup. I would wrap. See, if I rotate this screen right now, there's an issue happening, right? So that's because the content is taller than the screen. So to avoid that, I think a quick fix, I'll wrap the whole of this inside an expanded widget. Expanded allows you to increase the size of a widget dynamically. So I'll do that. So I do that immediately. You see that this has moved down because this is grabbing the image, is filling the whole screen. If I rotate, the image becomes smaller, and then the size is maintained when I need to. So this works fine for now. Let's look at our design again. Okay, I have a bit. Let me just increase the size of this button a bit, like a quick kind of hack. So I'll go to the login button. Instead of doing the all here, I'll do symmetry. So I'm going to say your vertical, I'm going to maintain 10. Okay, and then horizontal, I'm going to say, let me move it a bit further. So yes, so that I have it blow up a bit, and I also reduce the font a bit because it looks like the font is too big. Let me see. Let me increase the vertical to 16. Yeah, I mean this is much better. And then my font is in 20, so I try and adjust this font to 20 a bit. Okay, then I think that I will find a way to, let me play around with this a bit, space between again, and see how this works out. So this pushes all the elements far apart. Yeah, let me use space evenly. Yeah, that's much better. But if we look, there's a bit of space at the top here. So let me see if I can achieve that. I think a quick fix for me, will be, let me wrap the whole widget here inside the padding, okay, so that I can quickly adjust this to symmetry, and then I can do a horizontal 16 because I've used that trend. So let me say the vertical one, I'm gonna do 32. Let me see how this works out. Let me see. Yeah, much better. So this gives us a base layout of how things will look out. Feel free to make anything. Anywhere there are those underlines, if you put a constant keyword against those widgets that are throwing loose, it will solve that problem. But be careful how you do that, because sometimes it makes them static and you can't be able to modify things inside of it. So kind of this is a basic flow of how to do this. Yeah, feel free, leave me a comment, subscribe, follow me. I'll be doing more of this on how to build simple screens. Thank you.